Welcome to this episode of the Muse Report. If you're just now tuning in for the first time, this show is basically created for us to learn, grow, and inspire. We want to learn new things every day. We want to grow ourselves into the best that we could be every day. And then we want to go on and inspire others in the future to do the same. And in this episode, we're going to be talking about tips to help you learn more every single day. In fact, there's 7 tips. If you tuned in last week to the last podcast episode, we talked about 7 things to make you more productive. It's just a coincidence that I have 7 tips again for this episode, so it's not like anything special about the number 7, even though that is the perfect number. But it has no type of tie to what I'm trying to do here. So without further ado, let's get into this episode. I know you're gonna like it. Going throughout every day, I am a person that likes to learn, and I really get a high from learning new things. Like, I really love it. I could do it all day, just research things that I'm interested in, or some things that I'm not even really interested in, but it's just really cool to know about. And acquiring knowledge every day is something that I think everyone should do. If you ever stop learning, you're done growing. Like, life needs to end, because everyone should be learning something new every day. That's what keeps life going every day, making it fresh. So what are some ways that we can optimize this learning process throughout the day? You know, we're busy. We don't have time to sit down and read a book or an encyclopedia or a dictionary or something to learn every day. But there's certain things that you could do literally throughout the process of your normal day, where you could optimize how much you could learn and acquire in knowledge on a daily basis. So we're going to start off with just reading 15 minutes a day. And now, don't turn off the podcast yet. Don't turn it off, because I know you're like, oh, he said reading. He just said I didn't have time to read. Just read 15 minutes a day. I didn't say read a book. I didn't say read a textbook. Read something. Read something that you know improves your overall being, not some trash that's gossip or talking about someone on Twitter or something like that. That does not count. Reading on social media does not count. Read a book, read a periodical, read a journal, read a magazine, read something, an ebook, read something that makes you smarter than you were the day before. So for me, I like to read. And sometimes I really don't have time to read as much as I want to, because my day gets so packed. But I start off my mornings with reading at least 15 minutes. So right now I'm reading the book Crushing It, actually, by Gary Vaynerchuk. You guys should check that out. Go buy it at Target, Amazon, iBooks, whatever you want to do. It's a really good book, and I just try to get at least 15 minutes a day in, because that's the minimum amount that I have set for myself, so that I know that I read something and I got smarter today. So whatever that thing is for you, figure it out, and you can either do it at the end of the day, middle of the day, beginning of the day. Sneak it in while you're on the train, on the bus, sitting in the parking lot waiting for someone, anything like that. Just sneak it in. Next thing is, write down your questions about the world and then Google them. Yeah. So we think of things that we wonder about every single day, like a lot of things. You're like, I wonder if the earth really is flat and Kyrie Irving is right. Or some other random thing. I don't know what you think about, but you have questions throughout the day, right? And sometimes we think about it and we don't know the answer, and we kind of just forget about it, and we never find out what the answer really is. Whenever you have a question, write it down, type it in your phone, type it on your iPad, write it in your notepad, do something. And then at the end of the day, when you're about to go to sleep, open it up, whether it's in your Notes app, Evernote, you write it down in your notebook, and Google it and find out the answer. Like, we literally have so much knowledge at our fingertips through Google and search engines. Just go Google what the answer is, find out which things are factual about the topic, and you're immediately smarter than you were a few moments ago. So that's another thing that you could do. Write down your questions and then you just Google them at the end of the day. Moving on, so I have this new app that I've been using for a little bit, and it's actually like super cool. And it's called Facts. Like the app is called Facts, but I think if you look it up in the App Store, it might be called like Daily Facts or something like that. But the app is called Facts, and basically, what it does, you sign in. Well, actually, you don't really have to sign in. You put in like when you want to get notified during the day, if you want to put reminders on, or you just want to go in the app, and it literally just gives you a random fact every day about anything, like anything. It's so cool. Like you learn stuff that you would never know every day. Like I just saw one today. Let me see if I could pull it up. Oh yeah, okay. So the fact today was Icelanders, people who live in Iceland, consume more Coca-Cola per capita than any other nation. Why would anyone need to know that? But it's like really cool to know that because not that many people know that. And you get weird things like that every day. Some things are rather profound and some things are kind of just silly. But it's actually really cool and it kind of brightens up your day to get that notification on the Fact app every day, alerting you about something that you didn't know a few moments before. So download that out the App Store. I have iPhone, Apple Store, but I don't know if it's offered on Android. But you guys could comment below after the at the bottom of the podcast and let me know whether it's in the Android store or not. So moving on to the next tip. Download a magazine on your phone that relates to your interests and then put on the push notifications. So I'm a business major. I like things that deal with business and finance and entrepreneurship and things like that. So I have the Business Insider app on my phone. Business Insider is actually a periodical magazine. I also used to have Forbes, but the subscription stuff was kind of blowing me, so I got rid of it. But things like that. So it doesn't have to be business. It could be really anything. Teen Vogue, fashion. I don't really know what other ones out there. ESPN, Sports Illustrated, whatever your interest is. Download that app, that magazine app on your phone, and put on your push notifications so that you don't have to look inside the app to get alerted on new things that you can learn about that field of interest. So it will randomly alert you throughout the day. Whoa, this is happening in this realm, or this is happening in this realm, and just through that, just through reading the push notification, you're learning new things literally as you go throughout your normal day. It's really cool if you think about it. So the next step is this is really funny because you're doing it now, but it's listen to podcasts. So clearly you listen to podcasts already because you're listening to my podcast. But really try to expand and have a library of podcasts, pretty much have how you have a library of books to expand your, like, there's so much knowledge and resources out there in the podcast world. Podcasting is taking off like it has never before. So you could literally find a podcast about pretty much any topic you want out there. And you could acquire so much knowledge from these podcasts. And the cool thing about podcasts is you could do it while doing other things. See, like with Netflix and TV and other things, you have to sit down and pay attention and watch. With the podcast, you could be cooking, you could be driving, you could be cleaning, you could be doing anything while absorbing so much knowledge at the same time. Like, it's so cool. Like, a part of my morning routine is I get up, I do my devotion, I read, and then I take a shower. And while I'm getting dressed and preparing my breakfast for the morning, I listen to a podcast every day. I don't always get to finish the podcast episode. I usually like finish it later in the day or the next day or something like that. But it's really just like a part of my multitasking morning routine. While I'm fixing breakfast, while I'm eating, while I'm getting dressed, I'm listening to different podcasts about random things, about business, about sports, about side hustles, about activating my brain while it's sleeping, about random things. And I'm learning while I'm doing my normal activities every day. So that's also increasing my knowledge intake on a daily basis. And the last thing is, actually, no, it's not it's the second to last thing. Watch YouTube about something that you want to know. So YouTube, I call it YouTube University. Literally, you got, I mean, everybody pretty much knows now, even the elderly. YouTube, if you want to learn something, go to YouTube. It has everything you could possibly want on YouTube. There's a tutorial for it. It might not always be a good one, but it's there. So what I do, I don't really like to watch things like I'm always trying to better myself, always trying to get better at something. So when I go on YouTube, I'm looking for things that will improve me from what I am doing right now. So I'm watching Gary Vaynerchuk videos. I'm watching videos about entrepreneurship. I'm watching videos about how to maximize my social media. I'm watching videos about how to podcast. I'm watching videos about audio recording. I'm watching videos about all that stuff, absorbing the knowledge and just taking it with me because it's at my fingertips. It's right there. So instead of going on World Star Hip Hop or going on Vine Fails or something like that, not saying anything's wrong with that, but also remember that you have a resource at your fingertips where you can acquire pretty much any knowledge that you want. Take some time to go on YouTube before you go to sleep, or the time you normally spend on your computer on YouTube anyway, and look up something that will make you smarter than you were before. It's really easy and it's quite interesting, and pretty much it's become pretty addictive for me now. Like, I go on YouTube pretty much every day searching for a new video through my subscriptions or through the search engine about something I could learn. So the seventh and last step is don't be afraid to ask questions. I know it's cliche, you hear it all the time, but it's like so true, man. Asking questions is the gateway to knowledge. I'm pretty sure, I mean, unless you're super duper smart or super duper ignorant, one or the other, you had a question about something that you didn't know pretty much every day. Something happened and you weren't exactly sure or clear about what someone was talking about, or you just had a question about it. But sometimes we don't want to look dumb or like we don't know what's going on, so we don't ask the question. When we simply could have just asked a question, hey, what are you talking about? Hey, I never heard of that word. Can you explain it to me? Boom. They explained it to you and you're immediately smarter than you were 2 seconds ago. It's that easy. Ask questions and don't be afraid to ask questions. It's people, if they laugh at you, then they're the dumb ones.
Asking all them questions. Asking all them questions. Why you asking all them questions? Making statements.
If they help you out, they're smart people and you want to surround yourself with people like that. So don't be afraid to ask questions. It's the gateway to knowledge. You need it in order to keep progressing, because if you don't ask questions, you're just going to be in your own bubble of ignorance and not progressing in your world or in the world that's really moving around you. So to recap on what the 7 tips were, hopefully I could read them in order because I read them out of order when I recorded it earlier. But the first thing is read for 15 minutes a day. Not hard. 15 minutes isn't that long. Anything that you're interested in, read it and get it out the way, and you'll immediately be smarter. Second thing is write down your questions about the world and then Google them right before you go to bed. Just jot down any questions you have about life and Google could give you some guidance. The third one is use the Daily Fact app. Search the Fact app on your app store. It provides you with super cool, fun, interesting facts every day, and you learn so much. And people are going to be like, man, how'd you know that? It's the Fact app, man. You got to get hip. The fourth one is, I'm trying to do this in order, download a magazine on your phone or on your iPad or on your computer, whatever it is, that it relates to your interests, whether that's Sports Illustrated, ESPN, Teen Vogue, some fashion magazine, Jet, Business Insider, Forbes, whatever it is. Put it on your phone. Make sure you turn on the push notifications so that you get alerted for whatever news is coming in about that topic, and you'll immediately be smarter once you see those push notifications, because you're acquiring knowledge to them giving you information through the magazine app. The next step is listen to podcasts. Well, clearly you're already listening to a podcast, so you're doing pretty good. But expand your podcast library. Make sure that you're listening to different things, and it's a great tool because you can multitask while doing it, so you're not being slowed down by trying to acquire knowledge. And you also want to watch YouTube, but not pointless YouTube. Educational YouTube. Now, educational YouTube is relative because what's really educational? Educational is anything I'm learning that I didn't know before, I guess. So whether you're trying to learn how to sew a basket, or you're learning how to dance, or whatever it is, as long as you're acquiring knowledge about something that you didn't know before, you're doing good. Use that YouTube time that you would normally use anyway, watching cats like chase laser beams or something. And the last thing is, don't be afraid to ask questions. Just ask questions, guys. Really, you'll be surprised how much people will open up to you and how much you'll learn if you just simply ask questions. This was a pretty short episode, I think. So if you have any questions for me, or how can I improve, or any extra other episode topics that you want to talk about, comment below. Please remember to rate and subscribe the podcast. We could use your help so we could get put up in the rankings, so that more people could hear about this stuff that's on the Muse Report. So thanks for tuning into this episode, guys. I'm Clee Davis, and I'll see you next week on the Muse Report. Remember, keep making your muse a reality. Peace.